This isn't going to be an easy statement to make because, unfortunately for me, it involves certain influential people within the industry, certain agencies within the industry, and unfortunately, some uncomfortable situations within the industry. I will not be talking about personal matters between certain individuals and myself. I don't think that is appropriate. If they wish to behave in that way, that is their prerogative. That is a completely different professional matter for me to deal with. This is something I feel that I need to make considering recent events. As a lot of you know, I was on particularly good terms with Model Red for a little while. Unfortunately, that has recently, I would say, soured as a result of certain individuals that Model Red represent, one of which is unintentionally transphobic and refuses to address it. And there is the other situation where there is potential trafficking involved. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that I was trafficked, but I was feeling under great pressure in order to be an escort in the situation that I was in. I was invited to live with somebody, and they knew my situation, and they told me to pay what I could afford, which at the time was practically nothing. It was practically nothing. I paid all my rent to my previous roommate at the time, and I moved in under the expectation that I was actually going to get help to get myself on my feet. Now, what I wasn't expecting was that help to be sign up for Trist, sign up for this particular escort agency, sign up for the other. And as a result, I felt under intense pressure because what turned out to be pay what you can ended up being an exorbitant amount of money that wasn't worth the rent I was paying there already. There were 3 people living in the house, and I was expected to pay exactly half of the rent for for myself, and the other 2 people living there were. To be honest with you, I don't know what the other person was paying. I think that they were being charged exactly what I was being charged, and there was some money being made on the top. But I was put under great pressure. Now, as a lot of you also know, that my cat also died whilst I was in Las Vegas, and the reason for that was my roommate shut her away in my room whilst I was gone, and she didn't have any human contact until the last couple of days of her life. And I will have to live with that pain for the rest of my life. I'm not going to go out and say that she outright killed my cat, but my cat being lonely, this certainly did not contribute to her well-being. She was shitting on certain places for the beginning. You've got to understand that she had moved 3 times in 2 times in less than 3 months, and it's stressing her out. Do you think it's going to be healthy for her to be shut away when she's so used to human contact? No, I don't. So I'm not going to directly blame her for the death of my cat, but I will say that she bears some responsibility towards it. However, it turns out that also a former friend of mine, well, actually she's still a friend of mine, some of you may have heard of her, December Monroe, claims to have been trafficked by this particular person. And a lot of what she told me happened in there was almost exactly the situation that I was dealing with whilst I was there. To the letter. More money was owed than what was actually owed. Men coming into the house at God knows how early in the morning, and having to be shut away in your room until they're gone. Even no matter how much you want to pee, it's almost impossible for me. There was one time I was literally locked out of the house for over an hour in 110-degree heat whilst this was going on. Did I feel safe? I'm not sure if I felt safe, whether I felt uncomfortable, I don't know. There was one incident where I went out for a session girls situation, and I wasn't going to have sex with this guy, but he had cocaine, and I still had the bruises from when he held me. And on the last week I was there, I did something I said I wouldn't submit to. I finally sold my body for sex because I needed the money. I'm an immigrant. I can't get a vanilla job no matter how hard I try. This modeling and sex work is all that I have. I was advised by December Monroe not to give her a penny. I'm paying what I believe that I owe. I am not paying her a penny more. That is how I'm dealing with it. On Tuesday, I finally left under the pretense that I was coming back on the 7th of June. What she didn't tell me was that she and the roommate were moving out on June the 5th. Nobody told me that. Which meant that if I was to have come back from Chicago on the 7th, there would not only be a house I was locked out of with no way of getting it, but they would also have stolen my stuff, and I have had way too much stuff stolen in my life. What has this got to do with Model Red? Well, what concerns me is Gil has developed a relationship with this particular person, and so as a result, anybody he speaks to has taken her word as gospel, despite the fact this has already happened before. Once I can understand that you might not believe it, twice it happening, that's down to you at the end of the day. But also the other thing that concerns me about the Model Red situation, and I will name Model Red outside, and I'm pretty much sure that pretty much everybody who is represented by them right now will probably disown me, unfriend me, or block me. I don't care at this point. I'm done with the fucking drama. I'm done with the fucking infighting. I'm done with the unprofessional attitudes from these people. I tend not to go public with my situations as much as I can avoid it. If I do, I don't name other people. I don't think that's right. The problem I've had with Model Red is who they represent and who they blacklist. Their blacklist is not as arbitrary as you might think it is. It is based on personal preferences of the people involved, or their personal preferences. Sure, there are people on the blacklist that should be blacklisted, like Christian XXX and people like that. Then it becomes personal at this point. They claim to be anti-transphobic, anti-homophobic and stuff like that, and to a degree I'm pretty sure that they are. But when I was looking for representation from them, they were literally telling me to tone down my anti-bigotry posts. They were literally telling me to stop being political. They were telling me to stop calling people out for their bigotry or for the fact that they are harmful. And this happened in communications on Zoom and Skype. And one of the things that offended me the most was how offended they became that trans people were a problem. That was basically their wording. That trans people were the most childish that they dealt with. and that trans people were a problem. This is what happens. This is what happens when you get cis people running trans people's lives. Okay, when you're trans and you're going through your hormones and stuff, you go through an immature period. You go through an emotionally immature period and you don't know how to handle it. If you're an agent, you need to understand every aspect of what a trans person goes through. And what makes me upset is how easily this agency has publicly said that they are pro-trans, that they are pro-gay, that they're pro-this, that and the other. The actions have shown me anything but. The people they represent have been somewhat transphobic, even if they don't understand how they've been transphobic. The people they represent have put other people in danger. The people that they represent have intentionally or unintentionally trafficked other people who are desperate to survive. Model Red, I believe, was a good agency. But the question coming from other people's mind is, what do they actually do? Do they actually represent anybody? Because most of the people I've spoken to who have worked with Model Red and left Model Red have told me that Model Red literally does nothing for them. That they are an agency in name only. And I don't think this is by choice or design. I think this is by the fact that they have way too many projects that they don't know how to handle. The porn website, the porn star website, and every other project that they're coming up with that they don't know how to deal with. What they should be focusing on is their agency, nothing more. And what they should be focusing on is actually doing what they say they represent and not discouraging other people from defending themselves. Whether you like it or not, I do porn. That is one thing. But I'm also a trans human being. And I am heavily affected by politics out there. If all you want is fucking, you're not going to get that from me. I'm going to fight for my rights. I'm going to fight for the rights of my trans sisters out there. Most of you already know about my rape at the hands of Christian. Most of you already know about other dramas that I am actively trying to avoid, but other people want to make it an issue on their Twitter accounts. That's fine. But this is the big issue right now. I was put in physical danger, I was put in financial danger, and I was done so by a person that Model Red has decided to protect, even though it's already happened to one other person, even though it's happened to December Monroe. And sadly, December Monroe is no longer in the industry as a result. That is my statement. I'm not going to mention who it was who did this to me, because I don't think that would be beneficial, but I will mention Model Red, because they should know better. And I'm pretty sure that those of you who have blocked me will be following this and probably have their own thing to say. If you do, say it to me. If you don't have that courage to say it to me and you want to bring out drama even more, I'm not going to play along. Until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary alike.